Hi. Hello. This is awkward. I said I wasn't gonna put up a video this week, but I lied because I was struck by inspiration. I feel like this is gonna be the D&D equivalent of shower thoughts, so just bear with me. This is also probably the only time I'm ever gonna cover Wizards of the Coast news on this channel because outside of the SRD, it's not largely something I dedicate that much brain space to, and neither should you. But real quick plug, before I really dig into all of this, don't forget to come show out for me on Baron DeRop's channel, Dungeon Masterpiece, this Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern. Sometimes I say Easter instead, my brain's just moving a little too fast. But I'm gonna be a guest judge for his Weird Tales Shadowdark Game Jam. There's a super fun group of us. We're gonna be going over the finalists from the Game Jam. And we're gonna be doing all of this to raise money for the nonprofit Develop Africa. And Kelsey, the creator of Shadowdark, is going to match us for $500 if we hit that goal. So come help us hit that goal. So what I was struck by wasn't actually inspiration. I was mostly just struck by WOTC's, 30th misstep they've made over this past year. But you know what? I'm gonna make a bold move and stand up for WOTC. I keep seeing people who get up in arms against them, worrying a lot about the state of D&D, the future of D&D, yada 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 yada. And look, I'm absolutely not saying that WOTC hasn't done anything wrong, or that they haven't mishandled anything. But I am here to say that when we're talking about these big ideas, the future of D&D as we know it, WOTC isn't really the problem. Our expectations of them are. Look, Wizards of the Coast, or more importantly, Hasbro, the corporation that owns them, is just that. A corporation. They don't care about you. The game designers, illustrators, writers, all those people who create for and work on D&D, they probably do. Those are probably almost all people who pour their hearts and souls into trying to help people have fun at their tables. But Hasbro? Nah. But luckily, that means literally nothing for D&D as we know it. And look, I'm not gonna harp on this because someone other than me does a much better job of it. And that's Mike Shea of Sly Flourish. So go listen to him for a bit and check out his City of Arches Kickstarter if you haven't already. He makes such fun stuff. But Mike talks a lot about the importance of owning the content that you want to preserve. If you own the PDFs, the maps, the character options, then no one can just change things on you. If you're a subscriber to a service that allows access to things, on the other hand, they can change at any time. It's just like Netflix or Hulu. You're at their mercy. So if you care about it, go all in. But I know the bigger issue for a lot of people is accessibility in gaming. And for most people, D&D Beyond is where you work out all of your nice little character sheets, and also where you roll all of your beautiful little dice so the mean and terrible math can't impede on your fun. 100% very useful to have around. But at this point, there are definitely alternatives for that too. That way you're not at the whim of a big corporation changing things as they see fit. My personal favorite to use is More Purple, More Better sheets. They're PDFs with plugins, and there can be a little bit of a learning curve and a little bit of player handholding, particularly if you have a more homebrew heavy campaign like mine, but it really hits that sweet spot of automation and just using paper sheets that I find personally satisfying. And since this is one where you own the PDF, it can't just be pulled out from under you. And I know I'm pretty old school in that regard. Sticking to more analog things as a player really helps rein in my raging ADHD a bit, but again, I completely understand if you have the opposite need. So if that one's not your cup of tea, give 5e Character Builder a quick goog. Some might need a companion dice rolling app. I think Real Sheets is an all-in-one kind of dealie that one of my players uses. There's Fight Club 5e, there's Dungeon Master's Vault. Prism is another one that looks pretty good interface-wise. But for standalone dice, where you can input formulas, there's Mighty Dice, which has pretty dice skin options. That's important to me. There's Dice Ex Machina, Dice by PC Calc. Looks like another one with pretty dice skins. The point is, there's options, guys. So far, Wizards of the Coast / Hasbro has caved to the pressures of the community when they've made missteps, but I feel like I'm not the only one who realizes there's going to be a day where they don't. So you can either be proactive about it, or you can wait for it. Either way, I think it's important to know that Hasbro is a corporation that literally only cares about its shareholders. That way you're not surprised when they do actually do something less than awesome. But I also think this ties into stuff that I think about a lot, and I don't know if I just have a weird view on this, but in my opinion, there's literally nothing that Wizards of the Coast can do that'll ruin D&D for me. And that's because my games of D&D ultimately have very little to do with them. And before I sound like a complete nutjob, what I mean by this is that D&D and all other TTRPG rule sets are really just scaffolding. In the end, what we're all doing is playing independent, structured games of make-believe with our friends. And once you start reframing your games more in this way, this should really be freeing. If you own the source books that support what you want to play, WOTC can't take that from you. They can change the rules and materials all they want, but that doesn't have to affect how you play what you want to. Like, they're not gonna come into your house and arrest you if you're doing things that are against the official rules. There is, in fact, no crimes against WOTC division of Hasbro. Yet. And to put the fact that this is all just scaffolding even more into perspective, none of us are really even playing the same game anyways. If you tell someone who's in the know that you play D&D, what's the first thing they ask? Something about what kind of game you play. What module? Is it homebrew? I'm playing in my second Curse of Strahd campaign right now. I had even started playing in that second one before the first one was over. And you know what? Even though they obviously have similar elements, these two games couldn't have been more different. So even though a lot of us are running or playing in these published modules, even that is just scaffolding. Because all of us and all of our groups are different. So the ways that we build and explore and play are different too. And that's something Hasbro couldn't take from you even if they tried. So remember, the brand name D&D on its own means almost nothing. It's how one branch of TTRPG games got started. That's it. You are the one who gives it meaning. What you are doing is unique and special. And as long as you enjoy playing make-believe across whatever version of scaffolding works best for you, there'll always be a future at your table, no matter what system you're playing, and that's what counts. Just my 2 cents.